So you've been told some serious lies about the music industry and about the things that it takes to be successful in it. And these lies have shielded you from some really uncomfortable truths, and it's probably a big part of what's holding you back. So in this video, I'm going to tell you 6 uncomfortable music industry truths that you really need to hear. So let's get to it. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Now, right before we get into this video, if you're a musician or an artist looking to make some serious passive income and grow a huge fan base, I'm advising all musicians and artists like this to start a YouTube channel today. And that's because right now, YouTube remains the biggest growth opportunity for musicians to earn an income and grow a huge fan base. And because of this, I have created the YouTube QuickStart course. This course is designed to get you up and running and making money on YouTube really quickly and easily. And the best part is it's completely free and you can get instant access to it at the link in the description of this video. Okay, so the first uncomfortable truth about the music industry that you need to hear is that no one really cares about your original music. I know there's a lot of debate about whether or not you should be performing or playing original music or cover songs at your gigs and shows. But the uncomfortable truth about this is that nobody really cares about your original music. This is something I've talked about before, but when you show up at an event or a venue, people want to dance and people want to have fun, and they want the music to be something that they're used to and that they're accustomed to and that they probably hear on the radio. The audience at these events and probably the people who hired you couldn't care less about the abstract song that you've been working on for the past 6 months that you probably have ready that you want to try out on the crowd. Now, of course, there are some exceptions to this. There are places that support bands and artists who do original music and things like that. And also, it's probably cool to every now and then throw in a couple of your original tunes in your set list with the other songs that you're performing. But by and large, if you're performing at clubs, if you're doing wedding receptions, corporate events, or whatever, it's likely that nobody cares about your original music. And now, following that, another uncomfortable truth that you need to hear is you probably should be using backing tracks. Now, wait, before you shoot me here. The thing is, we live in a new era and a new age where there is an expectation of bands and artists to sound a particular way. And again, with all of the technology and stuff that we have available to us now, there is more of an expectation to sound a certain way. And the fact of the matter is, the bands that are out there performing professionally on Vegas shows, corporate bands and things like that, they are sounding a particular way that is enhanced by them using backing tracks. Now, I know about all of the opinions about backing tracks and about how it doesn't make you a real musician and all of that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. You can have that opinion. But again, if you have that opinion, you're going to be faced with the reality that the bands who are out there succeeding and who are doing this thing professionally and making the most money, they're using backing tracks. And I want to be clear here about what I mean about backing tracks. A lot of the bands that are using these types of backing tracks are creating them themselves. They're not just like downloading some, performances, some karaoke versions of songs or something like that. They're creating their own backing tracks in the studio and stuff like that, and then they're using them on stage. And this is essentially the type of way that I'm talking about using backing tracks that you need to be doing. Now, another uncomfortable truth that you need to hear about the music industry is that you don't get paid what you're worth. You get paid what you negotiate. This is one of the things that a lot of musicians and artists have been shielded from, the truth of that statement. They've been told that, hey, if you're just good and, you work on your craft and you do all of that stuff, people will recognize it and people will pay you what you're worth. And it's just simply not true. It doesn't mean that you don't need to do those things. You absolutely need to do them. But when it comes to getting paid and how much you get paid, it's all about how much you negotiate. It's just simply not the case that bar and venue owners and even people who want to hire you for, private parties and corporate parties and things like that are going to look at you or your band and be like, you know what? This looks like a band who has really done the work. I'm going to pay them $20,000. The vast majority of people who hire you are probably going to be trying to save money and looking at ways that they can not spend as much money as they, maybe should. So if you want to get paid higher prices and you want to make serious money and things like that, of course, you need to be bringing something to the table, but you really need to learn the art of negotiating and negotiating what you want to be paid for your services. And that leads me to another uncomfortable truth that you need to hear. And that is, in this music industry, the odds are stacked against you that you will get rich and famous. Now, something that you'll hear me talk about on this channel all the time is how easy it is now, relatively speaking, to make a career out of being a musician and get known and stuff like that for what we do. And that's relative to, say, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But that doesn't mean that there isn't still a path to travel that we have to get on to make it to that status. And so what I really mean by this is that the lie that has shielded you from that truth is that you can get famous overnight, that you can, get on Instagram and get famous in 30 days and things like that. And it just doesn't happen for most musicians and artists that way. For most of us, again, it's relatively easier to get there than it has ever been before, but it's still going to take some work. It's going to take some time, and you need to be willing to put in that time. I just talked about in one of my recent videos about how fame and stuff like that now is more tribal, and how you could have 1 million followers and still nobody even really knows who you are. Like, you're only famous to that 1 million people, and then outside of that group, like, nobody really knows who you are. So even the way that you get famous and rich and stuff like that has changed. But again, the uncomfortable truth about this is that it's, again, relatively easy, and it's very possible for you to get rich and famous. You're still going to have to put in some work. And what follows that is another uncomfortable truth that you need to hear, and that is opportunities that come, they don't last long. So the thing is, we live in a really fast-paced, fast-moving society where, things are popular and opportunities and things like that, they come and they go really quickly. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine a few days ago, and we were talking about how just like 12 years ago, there was this big debate about whether or not Blu-ray discs, physical media, so Blu-ray discs or like those CD-ROM type of things were going to win out the high definition thing. And of course, it turns out that Blu-rays won. That became the most popular. But now we're in a time where Blu-rays have even gone out, and that, physical media is pretty much a thing of the past. And that happened all in just a 10 or 12 year period. So you take that principle of what happened with that, and then you put it on the micro things that happen, like the micro opportunities that come our way, the things that we can capitalize on, that we should be capitalizing on, and we understand why we need to seize these opportunities as they come. And it's one of the biggest reasons you've been hearing me talk about YouTube and about why I think musicians should start a YouTube channel in like a lot of my videos. And that's because right now, this is the opportunity that's on the table. But guess what? It has a shelf life. It's not going to last long. With all of these social media companies competing with each other and competing for the time and attention of people being on their platforms, right now YouTube is on top, but a year from now, it could be one of the other platforms. A new platform could come and those opportunities completely change. And the YouTube thing is just one example of an opportunity that's happening right now. But any type of opportunities that are coming to you that you need to seize, that you need to get on, you may want to consider getting on them really quickly because they don't last long. Now, another uncomfortable truth that you need to hear is that your talent doesn't really matter that much. So there's always been some debate about whether or not talent and having talent is something that's necessary to be successful in any industry. But in particular, in the music industry, we've seen people that, we would consider not having a lot of talent, go off and do really great things and be successful. And the fact of the matter is that talent is becoming less and less important in this industry that we're in a way. And what I mean by that is that it's not necessarily that you don't need to have talent. It's just that your talent needs to be a little bit more niched. So for example, as an explanation of that, you don't need to be this like virtuoso drummer or pianist or guitarist or something like that. What you need to be is an okay guitar player at providing a niche market, say something, like people over 70 years old who like a certain type of sound of guitar. You need to be able to do that okay and provide it to them, and that niche audience needs to be big enough to form around that to support you and your talent as an artist. So you see how that works? Again, it may sound a little convoluted, but the simplicity of it is just that you don't need to, be this great musician. You don't need to be super talented. And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't work on your talent. You should absolutely do that. I'm just talking about in terms of being successful and what it takes to be successful in this industry today. And there's many, many other things that you need to do to be successful in this music industry today as well. And I've done some videos about those, and you definitely want to go here and check those out right now.